What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another week of the Football Head Show. This is football for your head. That's right. We're talking about statistics-based football analysis. And this week, we are deep diving into the tight end position. We're going to talk about all 32 teams. We're going to rank them by their tight end utilization. I'm talking about certainty. I'm talking about scheme. I'm talking about who is going to have the most end-of-season production here on the Football Head Show. We're looking at numbers, and we're not ignoring narratives. The two have to go hand in hand. This is sport ball we're talking about, folks, and I'm your host, Mr. Football Head. The sun is streaming into the studio today. Thank you for joining us. I personally have a lot of love for tight ends. Obviously, I grew up a Patriots fan. I loved the Gronk to Brady connection, watching it growing up. Gronkowski dance battled my sister at a party one time. He's actually a really cool dude. Absolutely nuts. Not as stupid as he looks. Loved watching the roast of Brady and hearing all those jokes and then having him go up and absolutely just kill it on the mic. But the tight end to quarterback connection is one that if it's there, it is so intense and perfect and awesome. It's hard to scheme these guys out, especially as they get bigger and more athletic. And we start to see teams put in these lighter linebackers to accommodate for, faster wide receivers and the different offensive packages. Defenses are returning the favor and putting lighter guys out there who are faster. So then you see these athletic tight ends absolutely dominating. And we're going to talk about all of the dominant tight ends and some of the ones that I think are on the rise today. So our rankings today are based on end of season production projections, and this is after 4 weeks, so we're going to get to look at the statistics for every single tight end that I think is of value, including teams that might have multiple tight ends. And we're going to talk about how sure of a thing is that tight end from like a target percentage, snap count, execution, and reliability standpoint. We'll talk talent. I have some tiebreakers for my rankings like I always do. Like, is there one tight end who gets the most targets and yards? And then what are the touchdown situations looking like for this team? So you're going to see some fading of teams that can't score touchdowns, right? We're looking at you, the Panthers, and we'll talk about checkdowns. Who's got a rookie quarterback who's going to need that fast, out, just trying to get the ball out of his hands. So we'll talk about all those things today. But before we do, please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and welcome if you're listening on WMCB or if you're watching on GCTV. Everyone can get involved. Even if you're not on YouTube, you can email footballheadshow@gmail.com. That's just everything spelled regular style, footballheadshow@gmail.com. Thoughts, questions, if you hate my rankings. Hoping that my rankings for tight end will look as good as my ones for running back did. And obviously, super bummer to have lost Joe Burrow and essentially also have lost Jamar Chase from the Joe Burrow injury. That said, the wide receiver rankings are looking pretty good other than the Colts. All right, so let's just jump right into it here. I sorted by target to kind of help me get a good grasp of what's going on. And then I also sorted by target share as well to kind of see what everybody's been up to, who I feel are in the top 8. But really, the thing that's going to end up being tiebreakers, and we talk about it every week, is just talent. Like, who's legitimately looking good. And quarterbacks matter, right? So number one tight end that I have right now, Trey McBride from the Arizona Cardinals. He's got 35 targets across 4 games. He's got 24 receptions. It's a pretty good conversion rate right there. 234 yards. I mean, these are wide receiver numbers that we're looking at. 9.8 yards per route run. It's looking good. He's converting the routes that he's running into receptions. He's putting it on paper. He's only got 1 touchdown on the season. I mean, across 4 games, that number will go up with his target share, and he is the highest percentage of target share on his team at 27%. And he's the highest percentage of target share across all tight ends in the league. So he's got to be number one. We all had him in the fantasy community kind of ranked quite high this year, and he was getting picked in these early rounds for this exact reason. We see Marvin Harrison here, if you're watching on the screen right now, congratulating his buddy, and there's all these jokes about how Harrison himself is not demanding enough targets, and it's just when you have an elite tight end like Trey McBride on your team, somebody like Marvin Harrison who's getting shut out by these corner schemes and stuff, want to see Harrison take the step forward that I thought he would this year, and I do think that there's still time. They're going to start scheming McBride out more, and there's only so much defensive talent that can lend its hand to keeping someone who like Harrison, who I think could potentially have a dog in him while it's not shown yet. There's a lot of jokes about him having that cat in him. But right now, Trey McBride is easily the number one tight end in the league. Number two, wow, a rookie. Tyler Warren of the Indianapolis Colts. He has 27 targets, 19 receptions. He just looks good. He looks good. And, obviously the conversion rate is not nearly as good as what you're going to see with the Cardinals. That's because Daniel Jones is not as good of a quarterback as Kyler Murray, I guess. I don't know. Daniel Jones has been looking fantastic. I am a known Daniel Jones hater. I'm a known Colts hater. And yet here we are with Tyler Warren as the number 2 ranked tight end for the year. 263 yards. Holy cannoli. That's crazy because Trey McBride only has 234. He's 13.8 yards per route run. That's insane. He doesn't have any targets, so there's still so much room to grow, and he's 23% of the target share. He has the highest snap count of all of the tight ends in the entire league. So he's out there, he's running routes, he is their pass catching tight end. He's really converted the talent that we saw having in college into something that's just beyond usable in the league. In fact, he's looking quite elite. And it's interesting to see how these rookie tight ends have really been on the come up over the couple of years. Other than Evan Ingram, once we hit that Kyle Pitts flop, it was like, we can't really buy into Bowers, right? And then he was awesome last year. And so it's like, okay, but we can't really buy into Warren. It's like, yeah, you can. And in fact, I think a lot of people knew that he was more talented than Colson Loveland. We'll get to him eventually, but not for quite a while. And that's because Warren, he's got the dog in him, and he's absolutely putting it into play. His touchdown number will come up, and he'll just keep converting. If you can get him in fantasy, you should. And I'm excited to see what he can continue to do. I also do want to say, I felt like it was a little risky having him this high because I do still think, from the bottom of my heart, that some of what the Colts have been up to is a little bit fluky. I'm going to be honest. I'm not saying they're not suddenly a playoff contending team, because I actually do. It's insane to admit it, but I do think that the Indianapolis Colts will probably make the playoffs. It's a nutso thing to say. I thought they would have like 2 wins on the year, but Tyler Warren playing for this kind of nutso franchise with Daniel Jones at the helm, I'm just like, I don't know. Is it going to stay this way? Are they going to stay this productive? Is it fluky? We'll see. It's just, you can't deny this kind of production. It's right there. It's right there in writing. All right, number 3, Hunter Henry of the Patriots. Yes, this is not me being a homer. This is just facts. If you watch the games, you see that he is the number 1 target on this team. They have kind of mid wide receivers. We'll see Stephon Diggs continue to get more and more targets throughout the year. But as of right now, Hunter Henry, 24 targets, 15 receptions. He's been the dump-off guy, and he's also been the touchdown guy. He's got 3 touchdowns. He was literally 1 inch away from a 4th touchdown this past week. It was really depressing to see. But 204 yards and a 13.6 yard per route run conversion is like really good. And then Hooper's behind him. He's got 8 targets for 7 receptions and 100 yards. 100 yards is pretty good. So they are using the tight end position when they have to spell Henry for one reason or another. They're still throwing it to the tight end. So I think that Henry's production will continue on this trajectory. I don't think that they have the kind of talent that they need at wide receiver to make him an obsolete option. And him and Drake May had a very strong connection last year, not just from the eye test, but also on paper. So this is just a continuance from last year. Hunter Henry will continue to be productive, and having him ranked 3rd might seem a little high when you're like, well, aren't there other more elite tight ends? It's like, yeah, but Henry actually looks really good, and his utilization is nuts. So we're going to see him continue to have, almost a quarter of the target share on this team. Drake May will probably continue to scramble for no reason whatsoever, and the offensive line hopefully will only continue to get better. They've looked just about as I expected, which is like kind of bad sometimes to mid, and then every once in a while they pull something off that's like, okay, thank God, because I was going to lose my mind. This one at number 4 from the Cowboys, Jake Ferguson. Production wise, he should, just based on 4 games, he should be higher. But is he going to continue to perform at this level across 4 games? Probably not. And that's because the Cowboys lost CeeDee Lamb. They lost their actual number 1 target. They have George Pickens, who's a field stretcher, But we saw George Pickens last year. He's not a wide receiver one. He can be really, really good. I really believe in George Pickens' talent. But you see that Dak, he's a legitimately good quarterback. Jake Ferguson actually has the number one most catchable targets of all the tight ends, which is really interesting. It just goes to show how elite Dak is playing. I mean, to me, I'm like, he might be in the MVP conversation once again. But 39 targets for Jake Ferguson across 4 games, 34 receptions. I mean, obviously, those are the most catchable targets that you could possibly imagine. 223 yards. It's just, he's doing a little more of the short game. So he's got 6.6 yards per route run and only 1 touchdown, but 23% of the target share. That number will come down across the year as CeeDee Lamb comes back in, gets worked back in, and gets healthy again. So Jake Ferguson will not continue to get like 19 targets a game. That's not going to happen, but he will continue to be utilized. So I don't see him ending the season above Henry or McBride or Warren, but he's going to definitely have the utilization. Coming in at number 5 is Brock Bowers and the Raiders. This one was really hard for me to do because so many parts of my heart believe in the talent of Brock Bowers, and so many parts of my heart believe in the talent of Geno Smith that we just haven't seen yet. Bowers has no touchdowns on the year, but he does have 27 targets. He only has 19 receptions. It's not looking good. Geno's just not been able to make it happen. There's been no magic. 225 yards though is great. So he's got 11.8 yards per route run. They are using him to stretch the field. They're using him like a wide receiver, which we knew would happen and was part of the reason why you're seeing people draft Brock Bowers in the 3rd round. I personally drafted Brock Bowers in the 3rd round of one of my home leagues, and it's been a bummer. No touchdowns, just not really converting these 27 targets into big numbers, and then he had the injury, but it's important to me that he be this high in the list because of the injury. I think he had a very limited snap count in week 1, so he's maybe played 3 full weeks, and in those 3 full weeks that he's played, Geno Smith has not played well. I also think they played the Patriots, and I think that they really effectively schemed Bowers out. I watched the entirety of that game, of course, and I'm just seeing them being able to scheme Bowers out because you're not seeing any leaps up in terms of talent from a player like Jacoby Myers, which they really need. So Trey Tucker's been getting these crazy plays. They're not going to keep having Trey Tucker to have crazy plays. Brock Bowers will improve his utilization. He will improve his conversion from these targets into production. It's just a matter of when. So I believe in the talent here, and that's why I'll keep him so high up. I do think it's going to get better for Bowers. All right, number 6, we have Juwan Johnson of the Saints. This is a surprise one. If I did these rankings the way I was going to do them at the beginning of the season, this wouldn't even be close. I just didn't see them using Juwan Johnson the way that he's supposed to be used, which is like a wide receiver. He was a wide receiver in his past. 31 targets for this dude. Only 22 receptions because a lot of his targets aren't going to be very catchable, but he's converted that into 204 yards. I do think that he's a playmaker, and they're using him like one. 9.3 yards per route run. Those are wide receiver numbers, right? Those are middle of the field stretchers, and he's only got 1 touchdown because they're not that good on offense. And you're seeing Kendre Miller have these, he kind of has this Devin Singletary thing going where he's being so productive on the touches that he gets. And Juwan Johnson, they are using him like a wide receiver. You have Rashid Shaheed stretching the field. You have Chris Olave. I'm kind of excited to see them continue to use him. I think by the end of the season, at this rate, he's going to be right up there with Brock Bowers in terms of productivity. It's just, there's no way he's going to have the touchdowns. We need Bowers to get some touchdowns is what I'm really saying. The Saints don't look as bad as we all thought. Spencer Rattler, I did kind of plant my flag and say, I don't think this guy is as awful as everyone's acting like he is, and there's no way that Tyler Shuck wins this job. And not only was that right, but I mean, even though they haven't converted anything into a W yet, it's just he doesn't look bad. It could just keep being the case that Juwan Johnson gets this elite utilization and they don't win games and he doesn't get any touchdowns, but he keeps racking up the yards and receptions. So, I mean, we'll see it. I think that they need him. They genuinely need him. They don't really have the kind of talent to just hyper target one guy, and they're going to keep using Juwan the way that they have been so far in my projection. All right, number 7, Tucker Kraft. The only reason he's not higher, it's not a talent issue. It's just they genuinely spread the ball. So he has an 18% target share, which is quite high, quite high. But Some of that is like, he had a super elite game, like record breaking for a tight end game. 20 targets, 16 receptions. He's getting very catchable passes, 225 yards, very good numbers there, and already 2 touchdowns. So 14.1 yards per route run. So he is getting utilization kind of beyond the sticks. He's got that like mid range. They're using him to stretch the field, but they are spreading the ball around to an extent where his numbers are going to be a little bit harder to predict. I have this team that I have where I have Tucker Kraft and Kyle Pitts, and it's been really genuinely hard to know who to start because he obviously has the upside with the touchdowns. He has the upside with like these huge. I think he's the only tight end with 50 plus reception. I see those numbers continuing. It's just there's going to be games where they're blowing somebody out or they just end up, you see Dobbs get more and Reed comes back. And so that kind of thing will continue to happen for Kraft here. Number 8, we have the tight end for the 49ers. So currently it's Tunges. They call him Basketball McTunges. 27 targets, 19 receptions, 166 yards, 8.7 yards per route run, and 3 touchdowns for Tunges. He's going to keep getting used like that because they just really don't have anyone else at wide receiver. They have Christian McCaffrey, and they've had my least favorite human being in the world. If you watch the quarterback episode, you will hear that I was worried this was going to happen. Freaking Mac Jones is starting. Have to watch that crybaby play again. I just, the fact that this guy has a quote where somebody complimented a wide receiver for making a great catch, and he was like, "It wasn't a great catch. It was a great throw." It's just like, dude, you're the worst. But Kittle in one half of football had 4 targets, 4 receptions, 25 yards, and a touchdown. So when Kittle comes back, it's, he's once again getting the kind of utilization that's basically a wide receiver. Tonjes is doing it right now, and he has the talent, and it's awesome to see, but he's not Kittle. So I think it makes sense to me to have the tight end for the 49ers up here in the top 10 tight end situation for the league. Who of these two ends up the most targeted with the most production? I mean, it's just a matter of when does Kittle come back and when is Kittle actually healthy. But this is a team where you can start their tight ends. It was confirmed last night as well in the Thursday night football game, because I am recording this on Friday. So technically Tonjes has had one more game than others. But he also technically didn't start in the first game. So it's effectively 4 games worth of information there. I think we're just going to continue to see the 49ers hyper target the tight end, and somehow they'll just continue to be quite productive. Coming in at number 9, Dallas Goedert of the Eagles. And it's like, wait, what? But check this out. He's only played 3 games, 13 targets, 12 receptions. These are extremely catchable targets. That's because when they throw the ball, they're doing it with intentionality. They're throwing with a purpose. 114 yards in 3 games, 9.5 yards per route run, 3 touchdowns for this guy. He has the 3rd highest tight end snap count in only 3 games. When he's healthy, he's on the field. And when he's healthy, he's getting targets. And he's potentially going to be more productive than A.J. Brown, someone that I pinpointed at the beginning of the year as someone who could fall off, because even though A.J. Brown is an elite wide receiver, that's not what the Eagles are trying to do. They're trying to win games. They don't really care about this diva mentality. They're just trying to put up W's. So Dallas Goedert is probably going to be, he's pretty athletic. He's got the juice to get open, and because of the way they scheme, so he'll be in there to block, he's going to end up getting open because teams are overcompensating for Saquon Barkley in the run, and then teams have to put their number 1 guy on A.J. Brown. Oh, don't forget, you also have Devonta Smith. Oh, and there's Dallas Goedert. He's open. It's a touchdown. I mean, it's a stacked and loaded team. I don't know how they're paying everyone. You look at the salaries on this team and you go like, man, there's got to be some kind of illegal collusion happening, but it's still so fun to watch. So Dallas Goedert being in 9, even for me when I was looking at the numbers, I was like, wait, are you kidding me? But it's just been that good, and I do see it continuing. He'll definitely have games where he gets like a catch, but then he'll have a game where he gets 3 touchdowns. So it'll keep going that way. And then rounding out our top 10 here is Dalton Kincaid with the Bills. 18 targets, 14 receptions. Again, just like Goddard's situation, this is a talented team, a talented quarterback, and so when they're throwing the ball to him, they're doing it with intentionality. When you have a quarterback that is as accurate as Josh Allen has become, you're going to see productivity for whoever he's throwing the ball to. And Kincaid has a 15% target share, so you're going to see productivity. 3 touchdowns for this dude. Very similar situation. These teams are scoring. The Bills and the Eagles, they're scoring. They're the top teams in the league. And then you have 179 yards already for Kincaid with a 12.8 yard per route run. And those are great numbers for him, especially because they don't have a number one diva type wide receiver that's getting hyper targeted. So Kincaid can be used similar to the way you would think of a wide receiver needing to be used. You have Knox behind him. I think a lot more people were worried about Knox than need to be worried about Knox. 8 targets, 4 receptions, 39 yards, and no touchdowns. And, Kincaid's already got these 3 touchdowns because people are worried about James Cook. They're overcompensating for James Cook. And then, there's Kincaid. He's open again. You're going to throw the ball to Coleman? Oh, I don't know. Josh Allen could just run it in, and then you're going to see these red zone packages where Kincaid just, he's going to eat up those targets. So, yeah, I got him here rounding out our top 10 from the Buffalo Bills, Dalton Kincaid. All right, and I'm getting absolutely slammed by sun in my studio here. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're basically watching like an anonymous person, and that's fine because I am Mr. Footballhead. And speaking of Mr. Footballhead, we have Zach Ertz of the Commanders coming in at number 11 for tight ends this year. 20 targets already, 14 receptions, 149 yards. 10.6 yards per route run and already 2 touchdowns. Now, this is mostly without Jaden Daniels. I'm also a huge fan of Zach Ertz's wife, Julie Ertz. If you like the national women's soccer team, which you absolutely should, then you know who Julie Ertz is, and I love her. And Zach Ertz is quite old, and he is the type of dude to just catch the ball and fall down at this point in his career. And it's working for him because he's open, and they can scheme him out. I don't know what's going to happen through the rest of the season. I was a little hesitant to have him this high, actually, but at the end of the day, when I think about utilization, I'm like, they're just going to keep throwing him the ball. That's what they've been doing since he joined the team, and it doesn't really seem to matter who the quarterback is. Debo getting the short area yards, and then you have McLaurin stretching the field. For some reason, they're using a lot more Luke McCaffrey than we could have ever anticipated. And Ertz is just there and open and can block, and he's on the field, and he'll just probably keep doing that little by little every game and end up in the middle of the pack, which is where he is here. So, his utilization is still there. I kind of almost wish it wasn't so because I don't find it very exciting to watch him play at this point, but his team is better than the other teams where their tight ends are getting similar utilization, which will bring us to our next one, Travis Kelce, and he's really hard to watch right now because he's become even more of a crybaby than Mac Jones, dare I say it. I know, crazy thing to say, but he's just like kind of seems miserable, doesn't really seem like he wants to do anything but yell at people. He's got 22 targets, though, and 15 receptions. So he's already got 182 yards on the year. And if you are a Swiftie and you're like, why are you talking smack about I'm like, look at this guy. I mean, he's just like constantly throwing stuff, constantly crying about something. 12.1 yards per route run and only 1 touchdown. I mean, he's still going to be the middle of the field guy for the most part. But here's the thing. While Kelce has the 3rd highest tight end snap count in the league, Noah Gray is also in the top 8 for tight end snap count in the league. And so I don't think that the Chiefs actually care about the name on the back of the jersey, and Kelce really wants them to. He's like, I'm Travis Kelce. You should really care that it's me. And the Chiefs are like, no, we just want to win games, right? We're trying to do something that the Eagles and the Bills are trying to do, and Kelce's like, me. It's very similar to what A.J. Brown is doing, but A.J. Brown is throwing way fewer things and reading a lot more self-help books. And I just want to say to A.J. Brown, thank you for your service in that way, because he's being a diva in actually a very respectful way, whereas Travis Kelce's like yelling at his coach, and his coach is one of the most respected people in the league. So it's just like, dude, get it together, bro. But Noah Gray already has 13 targets, only 6 receptions for 22 yards and no touchdowns. And if Kelce can't start or can't, get back to converting these receptions into touchdowns, and it's basically over for him. He's not super athletic at this point, but I will say this, he does already look better than he did last year. So this is probably the last year he plays football. He's not going to want to completely throw away his season, but he does need to figure something out in terms of his attitude, because I'm actually seeing these like low effort plays. I'm seeing these places where he's like trying to demand targets, but then he can't convert them into anything exciting. You have Rashee Rice coming back. You have Xavier Worthy looking like lightning in a bottle a lot of times. They have not figured out the situation with Pacheco. I'm kind of glad that I saw that coming and faded him a little bit, but I still have one of my main leagues has Pacheco on the bench. I don't know if I'll ever start him. So, look, Kelsey, you're still in the top 20. You're actually in the top 15. And he'll similar to Zach Ertz, he'll rack them up every game. He'll rack up 4 or 5 targets, and there's another 40 yards. But it's just not that exciting to watch him play. Kyle Pitts is next, though, with 24 targets and 20 receptions. And so, again, his 1 touchdown, his 205 yards, his 10.3 yards per route run are okay, considering he really should have so much more, but his team is bad. I mean, his team had a game where they completely got shut out. I was worried about Michael Penix. I've been really worried about Michael Penix. I've been worried enough about Michael Penix to be worried about saying, yeah, Drake London, but we haven't seen it with Michael Penix yet. What we have seen is that they're using Kyle Pitts the way we all wanted them to for years and years, similar to the way they did in his first year. So he deserves to be here. I could really see him breaking away and leaving tight ends like Kelsey and Ertz in the dust and truly converting. It's just like, how? With what quarterback? Travis Kelsey is playing with Patrick Mahomes. Zach Ertz for the majority of the year will be playing with, Daniels. It's not the same. So Kyle Pitts is gonna have to make bread out of water. I don't know. I'm looking for an expression to basically say he's gonna need to be magic on a team that has very little spark, very little going for it, except its defense, surprisingly. I mean, I can't wait for my defense episode to drop because holy cow, I'm very impressed by what I'm seeing the Falcons being able to do in just one season and turning it around from where they were. So shout out to Kyle Pitts too for making something out of nothing so far, and let's see if he can keep doing it. It's been hard not to start him. It's genuinely hard not to start him. All right, Sam Laporta of the Detroit Lions might seem like he's been a little faded down this list. Like, his talent is definitely there. I do think that at this point in his career, he's more talented than Travis Kelsey. He's more talented than Zach Ertz, but his opportunity is just not there. He's got too much talent around him. He's got Gibbs. He's got Montgomery. He's got Amon-Ra. He's got Williams. And then a quarterback who's quite consistent, but nothing special. Right? 21 targets for Laporta and 16 receptions, only 177 yards. So he's being a little more utilized in the short game. The confusing thing to me is he still doesn't have a touchdown. So only 11.1 yards per route run on these receptions, and doesn't seem to be able to find the end zone. I mean, he hasn't this year. So we had this problem with him last year. He got really overhyped after a very good season, and then everyone was super disappointed. It's very similar to what Dalton Kincaid went through last year. The difference is this year they figured out how to use Dalton Kincaid. It's not that Dalton Kincaid isn't talented. I mean, he had a down year last year because they just were having a hard time figuring out how to use him. And I don't think they're having a hard time figuring out how to use Laporta. I just don't think they need to be able to use Laporta right now. Now, I'm not even going to speak this into existence, but should there be some kind of injury to any of the weapons on the Detroit Lions, we will see an uptick in Laporta's utilization, of course. I mean, he's very talented. And we could see as the season progresses, them scheme Laporta in a little more, but I just don't really see him breaking into the top 10 in terms of end of season production for the tight end position. All right, so here we are at number 15. So we're about halfway through the list, and I guess we have to talk about the Browns. It makes sense to me that tight ends would be the most productive kind of offensive situation going on the Browns, because you need to check the ball down, and you're probably going to want to do it to a big-bodied person who can take a absolute shellacking, because the Browns offense is bad. We're finally going to see Dylan Gabriel start this week. I'm personally excited because it's been really hard to watch Joe Flacco, and I have a lot of respect for the guy. We're not going to see Shedeur. We'll continue to not see Shedeur because I do think, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he continues to do things that are like just so trolly, clowny, where I'm like, you're gonna be a great internet personality, media influencer type, but I don't see you having what it takes to just do all the annoying things that are required of quarterbacks. I mean, the media press conference that he gave where he like moved his mouth but no words came out after they named Gabriel the starter. I'm just like, it's just yeah, I don't know. Like I would subscribe to his YouTube channel if he was doing that for a living. Even the Browns, who still have Deshaun Watson on their roster, won't start that kind of clownery. And maybe Gabriel just does look that much better than him in practice. So returning to the tight end talk here, Harold Fenton Jr. coming out of nowhere as a rookie with 24 targets, 17 receptions, 150 yards. He's at 9.4 yards per route run. So he's, but the surprising thing, the real story here is that he's got more targets and more receptions than Njoku. And Njoku coming in with 21 targets, 14 receptions, 128 yards, and 9.1 yards per route run. So we all thought Njoku was the next hotness in terms of pass catching options for the Browns. We figured Jerry Jeudy would at least be at some sort of a productive, sustainable pace. We have not seen that. The Browns offense has looked horrible. And part of the problem is their defense just looks so gosh darn good. So if you're a Browns fan, you're probably like, this is the most boring fun I've ever had, because their defense just does genuinely look good. Njoku is so physically talented. I would love to see him get traded. I think he would make an excellent asset on like so many different teams. I mean, like the Rams. Can you imagine Njoku on the Rams? Holy crap. They're dealing with that. Well, we'll get to him, but you know who we're dealing with over there. Rhymes with Schmigby. But Harold Fenton has looked awesome. He gets faded for his interesting and bizarre quarterback situation that he's going to be dealing with probably the rest of the season. I don't know how many more seasons we can talk about the Cleveland Browns having like an interesting and chaotic quarterback experience before it's just like, should we just like fold this franchise? It's honestly such a weird situation. But they have Quinshon Judkins putting in some good work. Okay, and you guys are not going to believe who I have rounding out our top half. So number 16, I just love this guy. It's Darren Waller of the Miami Dolphins. And here's the deal. Okay, he's played one game. So you're like, whoa, Mr. Footballhead, don't go crazy here. Here's what he did in one game. In one game, 4 targets, 3 receptions, 27 yards, 9 yards per route run, 2 touchdowns. Okay, now here are his predecessor at a tight end, Connor. I can't even remember his first name, to be honest with you guys. 6 targets, 3 receptions, 33 yards, 11.0 yards per route run, no touchdowns. So they have been waiting for Waller to come because they've been scheming him in, and they're just like, when is your old man hip going to be better so we can put you in this game? And as soon as they had the opportunity to do so, they had him schemed up in all sorts of ways. Now, Tyreek Hill is out, and that's what allows Waller to creep up this list because Waller is legitimately experienced and talented. He's got what it takes. I think there's a narrative here that I personally have bought into. I don't know if anyone else has ever talked about it, but Mike McDaniel's sober. So is Darren Waller. Darren Waller and Max Crosby had a whole situation together where, Crosby helped Waller get sober of drugs and alcohol, and I think that Waller relapsed when he moved over to the New York Giants, which caused him to retire early. Now, it makes sense to me that the only coach that would convince him to get out of retirement would be someone like Mike McDaniel, who's also got experience being sober and probably is going to help create a supportive environment for Waller in that way. If Waller can't stay sober, I highly doubt he's going to stay on the field, if we're being honest here, right? It's a very tough sport. It's a lot going on your body. If you have, previous experience abusing drugs of any kind, you're obviously going to have a hard time not doing that when your body starts taking shots every game. But here he is playing, looking really good in one game and already putting up numbers better than their previous tight end. I think that he'll just continue to do that for the rest of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if he outperforms, the Browns situation and maybe the Lions, maybe the Falcons. I mean, we're going to see Waller get put to use as long as he's healthy. So here he is, our true halfway point. And then coming in next is Brenton Strange and the Jaguars. I, I honestly kind of thought about moving him down because they have so many good wide receiver options and they're not using them very well yet. Travis Hunter, for the love of goodness gracious, I just have him sitting on my bench. I'm like, why did I draft this guy? But we knew what the risk was when we drafted him. He's either going to be extremely talented and utilized as such, or he's going to be so talented that he gets played all over the field and then he doesn't get the kind of scheme work that we wanted. But Brenton Strange has already had 23 targets, 19 receptions, 182 yards in the year so far across 4 games. Not bad at all. 9.6 yards per route run. He's just not really being targeted in the red zone. No touchdowns. And their offense just looks like off. I mean, I really think about Brian Thomas Jr. and the fact that his productivity came with Mac Jones last year. And I'm like, okay, is it official that Trevor Lawrence is a lost cause and is a wash, and we should just let go of that as an option and put in a backup who would be better for all of the offensive weapons that the Jaguars genuinely have? They genuinely have weapons. They should be a contending team, in my opinion. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Brenton Strange looks good. You have Travis Etienne, you have Bashal Tutin. I'm like, dude, like, why is this team just not doing what it takes to make a difference for their own franchise future? I don't know. The coaching is very weird. I don't like that guy. Liam Cohen, right? Like, his vibe is weird. It's giving like dude that you meet in an alley because he was peeing in a garbage can. Like he just has like this very weird vibe. And that is a very Jacksonville vibe to have. I mean, it's better than Urban Meyer, but I don't know. This offense is just still, for some reason, not that elite. And it's either the franchise and Trevor Lawrence goes somewhere else and is awesome, or it's Trevor Lawrence, and either way, it sucks for the Jaguars. Having this person at 18 seems like a crime to me, but it's just so hard to say what the heck is going on with the Baltimore Ravens and Mark Andrews. I see the talent still. I'm watching him and I'm going like, he like looks good. He has 18 targets and 15 receptions because he's got good quarterback play. He's got 128 yards. He's 8.5 yards per route run, and he already has 2 touchdowns. Now, Isaiah Likely has been out. He's been injured. He's coming back. Isaiah Likely will take snaps and absolutely, well, maybe not snaps, but he'll definitely take targets. He'll take touchdowns. He'll take productivity away from Andrews. But to what extent, we haven't seen. Isaiah Likely was active last game, week 4, and didn't get a single target. Not a reception, not a target, nothing. And Mark Andrews is still being productive. It's just super confusing what this team is going to do. I don't really understand their coaching. And I am starting to think, I think I talked about this last video, like, is it Harbaugh? Like, what is happening? Derrick Henry and, like, Lamar Jackson's extremely talented, but just, like, sometimes it just, like, almost, like, doesn't look it. Not, like, the way he's playing on the field, but just when you zoom back out, big picture, you're like, what are the Ravens? And I haven't been able to answer that question. I don't know what Mark Andrews really is. Is he washed? Like, I don't think so. I'm watching, same thing with Lamar Jackson. You're watching, like, this dude is incredible at football. So why aren't they putting up W's? And why aren't they, holding other teams the way that they should be? It's just something is off with the Ravens right now. And I hope they figure it out. And unfortunately, I don't think that the tight end position is the future of this franchise. I do see what I predicted happening with Zay Flowers, where he took a huge leap. I was like, if he takes not a step but a leap forward, it's going to be so good for him, because I could not tell if he's like mid-level talent with just like very few opportunities, or if he's like elite talent with just very few opportunities. And right now he's looking really good to me. And Derrick Henry's fumbles have been a big old bummer. So that might be the kind of missing piece, is something's up with Derrick Henry, and they got to figure that out. And then I do think that Zay Flowers has taken the leap forward that's going to make Mark Andrews a little less important to the scheme. And then you also have Isaiah Likely, who I think they'll use kind of more as a wide receiver option. We'll see. It's yet to be seen. So we have to have Andrews here in the back half, although high in the back half. All right, here we are at number 19, TJ Hawkinson of the Vikings. Super surprising to me, his lack of production so far, except for the fact that I just didn't really believe in J.J. McCarthy all the way. I did think that Justin Jefferson would be able to save any quarterback, but you don't really need TJ Hawkinson as much right now, and it doesn't seem like they're going to the rest of the year. Naylor and Addison, and they figured out something pretty good with Jordan Mason there. And even with Carson Wentz starting, you just don't see the numbers that you expected to see from TJ Hawkinson through 4 weeks. 18 targets, 13 receptions, 115 yards, 8.8 yards per route run. That's honestly pretty low, and only one touchdown. The touchdown number might go up because of the way that they use him. But he's just not getting targeted a lot, and this defense has been phenomenal. I mean, I'm a huge Flores stan, and I've been just loving watching their defense. There is no way that JJ McCarthy has an opportunity to get the W in week 1 if it's not for this defense. And they didn't look great at first, and there's definitely been a couple quarters where I'm like, what is happening? This defense should be just destroying people. And then they have a couple quarters where you're like, holy crap, another defensive touchdown. That's nuts. So Vikings just don't need Hawkinson as much. He also doesn't look incredible. He's kind of got the Zach. He's like if Zach Ertz were doing worse. He's just not really turning it into extreme production at this time. So that's what leaves him here for us right now. And then coming in at number 20, Dalton Schultz. If you took Hawkinson's athleticism and then you turned it down even one more, it's Dalton Schultz. He looks way better than I thought he would, but this offensive line is so bad that you cannot put Schultz higher on this list. 21 targets, 16 receptions, 126 yards, 7.9 yards per out run. I kind of predicted the offensive line would be so bad that they'd have to check it down to Schultz and that it would make Nico Collins obsolete. It's like in my wide receiver quarterback video where I'm like, how is Stroud going to be productive? Look at this offensive line and look at his running back situation. It's Nick Chubb, who, granted, looks much better than we thought. We have Woody Marks on the rise. It's very exciting for him. We have no idea what's going on with Mixon. And then you need Schultz with 21 targets to kind of help get out of the mess that is just having no time at all to throw the ball. But the fact that he doesn't have any touchdowns yet, it speaks to just the lack of productivity on the offensive side. The Texans' schedule looks rough. I'm just like, I don't know that it gets any better for him than it's been. This is probably the best that it's going to be were these first four games for Schultz, and he just doesn't have the athletic spark at this point to carry him to more productivity. It'll be okay. He'll probably continue to have like four targets a game or so, and maybe he'll eventually get a touchdown or two, but that's what I kind of see as his ceiling. Jonnu Smith of the Steelers is next, and his ceiling to me is way higher. I see the Steelers just I'm impressed. I'm very happy with them. Now, I thought that DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers would have more of a bromance than they've really had, but Jonnu Smith with 16 targets, 14 receptions, these are very catchable targets that he's getting. 71 yards, not a lot of yards. That's because he only has a 5.1 yard per route run situation going on, and he only has one touchdown. But you don't really need him to be stretching the field because that's just not the kind of offense that Arthur Smith is going to run. And you do have DK Metcalf, you do have Calvin Austin, Then you see Freiermuth here. I just put his numbers up, 10 targets, 7 receptions, 65 yards, no touchdowns. So, I mean, his Freiermuth with 65 yards and Jonnu Smith with 71. And you also have Darnell Washington, who got, I think, maybe four catches, something like that, on the year as well. So, I mean, they are using the tight end position for sure. And in terms of talent, it's just kind of tough to say between Jonnu and Freiermuth, who I think is more talented. I saw great things from Jonnu last year, but I also saw him play every game of the Patriots and just be so bad. And I'm like, was he just, kind of sending it in and being like, whatever, I'm going to get my paycheck and I hate this team and I hate Bill Belichick? Maybe, but, he seems a lot more bought into what the Steelers are up to, and I could see his productivity skyrocketing. So I could see one of these tight ends being more productive than, Dalton Schultz or maybe Mark Andrews, but it's just tough to say even who. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm planting my flag saying that Jonnu will be the most productive tight end on this team, but to what extent, it's kind of tough to say. They've just been playing really good defensive games. They don't need to score a ton of points, and Aaron Rodgers is very accurate. He knows when to throw it out of bounds. Like, all the stuff that we knew about Aaron Rodgers and what he would bring, like, is true. And also it's just like, it's not super flashy, nothing crazy exciting is happening on a play-to-play basis here. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes left and about 10 teams ranked. So here at number 22 is Cole Kmet with the Bears. That's right, not Colson Loveland. The talent wasn't there for me, and I did watch tape because I was trying to figure out Tyler Warren or Colson Loveland, like who might take the cake there in terms of tight end talent, but Cole Kmet's been really winning that battle on the Chicago Bears this year. 16 targets, 7 receptions. Not crazy numbers, but 116 yards. That's 16.6 yards per route run. That's really good, and only 1 touchdown. So obviously Cole Kmet, he's not the number one pass catcher. Rome Odunze is, and I did plant my flag there, and DJ Moore is just as washed as I figured he would be. But Cole Kmet is surprising me. He's looking a lot better than I thought he would, and so he gets to be up here at number 22, in the back half for sure. But I could see him getting, 4 more touchdowns and averaging 3 receptions, and, it'll probably come down a little bit, his yards per route run, but he's going to get utilized every game, and he looks good. He passes the eye test for sure. All right, number 23, Mason Taylor of the Jets. This was a really hard one for me to place, actually, because I think he's very talented. I'm super confused about what the Jets are doing with their offensive weapons. They basically only have Garrett Wilson, and so that's basically all they use. And then Breece Hall's looked great, but I don't understand why Mason Taylor doesn't have more targets. 16 targets, 11 receptions, 108 yards, 9.1 yards per route run. No touchdowns. Touchdowns have been a little bit hard for them to come by, and Justin Fields is doing what I knew he would do and pulling it down and running. Wilson is that elite guy that, that's why I ranked that duo so high in the bromance episode, is because it's like, dude, what a cool thing to have is a quarterback who can scramble the way Fields can, and a guy who can make these spectacular catches the way Wilson can and really get open. So I thought by now that Taylor would have way more targets just with his athleticism, but he hasn't. And this is another rookie tight end. So maybe he'll come into his own later in the season, and he jumps above Schultz, and he jumps above, Hawkinson, and he's doing it. But I don't know, it's just hard to say with the Jets. They've just looked kind of messy. They had so many penalties last game. It was really tough to watch. And, I don't know. Is he going to beat out Darren Waller for productivity? I don't think so. I think Mason Taylor could be a great option next year, and I'm excited to see him progress. But him being here at 23 makes sense to me personally. All right, in number 24, this situation was really hard to make sense of too. It's whatever the tight end is for the Panthers, and you have to have them here because look at both Tremble and Sanders. So 14 targets for Tremble, 14 targets for Sanders, 11 receptions for Tremble, 11 receptions for Sanders, 80 yards for Tremble, 92 yards for Sanders, 7.3 yards per route run for Tremble, 8.4 yards per route run for Sanders, 1 touchdown for Tremble. None yet for Sanders. They're not putting up a lot of points, so the touchdowns are going to be hard to come by unless Bryce Young can figure it out, which we thought he did. I thought he did. I really did. I mean, Ted McMillan is definitely the number one. They definitely have the bromance that I projected they would have. But, man, Bryce Young does not look as good as I was hoping he would. I thought he really turned a corner at the end of last year. It looked good. It doesn't look good. But you see the tight end production. There he is checking it down. He's using his tight ends. I don't know what the issue is. It's so hard to say. Is it Bryce Young? Is it a scheme problem? Is it a coach problem? Is it a talent problem? They traded away Adam Thielen, and then Coker got injured, so they did take those targets away. If Coker comes back, does one of these tight ends take a step back? But they're looking neck and neck right now. The thing that's encouraging and why they are where they are, not like at the very end of this list, is that they're getting used. They're getting production. So here they are. All right, coming in next is AJ Barner and the Seahawks. And I'm picking Barner here and not saying the tight end from the Seahawks, even though Arroyo also has 9 targets. So both AJ Barner and Arroyo have 9 targets. Barner has 7 receptions. Arroyo has 5. Barner has 81 yards. Arroyo has 82. Barner has 11.2 yards per route run. Arroyo has 16.4. But Barner has 2 touchdowns. And so I think that they see him as their tight end 1, and his production should continue. But it's JSN's team. Kenneth Walker's looked good. Charbonnet's looked good. Sam Darnold's looked good. He's spreading the ball around. Of the 2, Barner will probably end more productive. It's really tough to say for the Panthers who will end more productive, but in terms of total targets and receptions for tight ends, the Seahawks won't need to use the tight end position as much because they actually have elite pass catching options. Darnold is an actual good quarterback now. We can officially say that. And so he's going to spread the ball around. He's going to find the open guy. I think that they've been really well coached, and they have an excellent defense. So, good for Barner for his red zone utilization, and hopefully we see that continue through the rest of the year. All right, number 26, Chig Okonkwo. Such a bummer to have him this low on the list because you would think with his talent, size, and just everything that he is that he would be higher. 19 targets. That's great. 13 receptions. That's not great. 124 yards. That's pretty good. 9.5 yards per route run. I think that's pretty middle of the pack, but no touchdowns because this team is not scoring. And he does have Helm behind him. He's got 8 targets, 7 receptions. So for some reason, Helm's either being a spectacular catch machine or just getting more catchable targets and 64 yards. But I think that Chig will eventually score a touchdown, right? Surely this team will have to turn a corner. Cam Moore doesn't look awful. He just does look overwhelmed. And so it's hard to have Chig Okonkwo any higher on the list just until this offense really starts to get together. He's extremely talented, though. So, I mean, in terms of having one elite tight end, it's definitely him above the Seahawks situation. It's probably even him above the Browns situation, but it is a quarterback situation. And I mean, who knows? Who knows how bad Dylan Gabriel is going to be? We could see Chig Okonkwo way outperforming Harold Fannin in the future. It's just like, I don't know what the Titans, pour the Titans, pour one out for the Titans. Coming in next, Cade Otton. I wish I could have Cade Otton of the Buccaneers higher. I do. I love this man. He takes so many insane hits across the middle. I've seen him get absolutely destroyed just over and over again and still somehow hang on to the ball. I think all 6 of his receptions were also concussions. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 6 concussions. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 11 concussions. He has 11 targets. Every time he gets thrown the ball, it's like in the middle of the field where he's just going to get eaten alive. It's absolutely nuts. He only has 34 yards. I wish they used him more. He's got that dog in him. He can take a hit. To me, he's a very similar vibe to what Baker brings. So I'm like, it's just weird that they don't have more chemistry, but that's just not how the Buccaneers use him. They have Bucky Irving. They have Rashad White. And then they have, an incredible rookie wide receiver in Emeka Egbuka, who I planted my flag. I was like, he's got to be the guy, but I can't rule out Mike Evans just yet. He's had 1,000 yards receiving every season. He always gets touched, and Emeka Egbuka just looks incredible. So, I mean, Cade Otton, it would be super cool to see him get more productive, but they don't really need him, so he'll just stay this far down in the list for now. All right, coming in next, Noah Fant of the Bengals. It was so funny when I was making this list. I accidentally put Noah Fant of the Broncos, and then I realized, yes, he did play for the Broncos. He just currently plays for the Bengals, and I always thought Gesicki would be their tight end one, but here are the numbers. So Fant, 14 targets. Gesicki, 11. Fant, 12 receptions. Gesicki, 6. Fant, 80 yards. Gesicki, 46. Fant, 6.7 yards per route run. Gesicki, 7.7. Fant has a touchdown. Gesicki doesn't. The tight end position does not matter on a team for whom offense is no longer a thing and a team for whom defense was not going to be a thing. This team is just demolished. I mean, no Joe Burrow. Poor Jamar Chase, poor T. Higgins, pour one out for them for sure. But I don't feel that bad for him. There's just such a poorly run franchise that's hard to feel. It's like with the Browns where it's like, I'm sorry, guys. It's hard to feel bad for you. You make very strange decisions. But, Fant, 14 targets, that's something. I mean, it's more than Cade Otton has. It's just where does he end in the end of the year? I don't think that Fant is as talented as Cade Otton or even Brenton Strange. But it's just the offense is so sad. I don't know. It's hard to put them any higher. Probably the offense is more sad than it is on the Titans, and Fant is less talented than Chig Okonkwo. And so here we are. All right, here we go. Coming in next, Theo Johnson of the Giants. I think his dude is actually quite talented. It's just now he has Jackson Dart throwing him the ball. That could be great because he could need a check down option, and Theo Johnson's athletic. But it could be horrible because Jackson Dart is seeming already to be doing what Drake May is doing and just pull the ball down and run when he doesn't know what else to do. It's like these guys are just getting eaten alive. But Theo Johnson, 15 targets, nothing spectacular, 9 receptions, 66 yards, 7.3 yards per route run, and a touchdown. Good for him. The thing is that now that Malik Neighbors is out, it's actually very bad news for this entire team. Sure, Theo Johnson's targets will come up, but he also has to play with Jackson Dart at the helm. And so, how catchable are those targets going to be? How many opportunities for yards are there going to be? I wouldn't be surprised if Theo Johnson, just really does his best out there, but only ever gets maybe one more touchdown the rest of the year. It's just going to be kind of tough watching the Giants for the next couple weeks while they figure out what they're going to do now that they named their rookie the starter and then lost their number one receiving option. So, Man, I don't want to be the Giants right now at all. I am going to the Eagles-Giants game that's coming up at MetLife on next Thursday. Prime time game. And I think the Eagles are going to destroy them in a way that will even be weirdly unsatisfying, to be honest. That's how bad I think. That's how bad I think it's going to be. Theo Johnson's been fun to watch, so I'm excited to see him continue to evolve, and I could see him being a really exciting prospect for next year. All right, so we're in our last couple of minutes here, and we've only got 3 teams left. I can't believe this next guy is so far down the list, except I can because I just did not. I don't like Sean Payton. I don't really like Bo Nix. I've not bought into Evan Ingram as being talented anymore, and so Evan Ingram coming in at number 30 from the from the Broncos, 13 targets, 8 receptions, 62 yards, 7.8 yards per route run, no touchdowns. The bigger issue here is I just don't see him continuing to even get utilization because Marvin Mims is back and healthy and getting specialized, cool little handoffs and creative things. You have RJ Harvey taking a leap forward. J.K. Dobbins is even better than anyone could have anticipated. You're seeing Troy Franklin, who's just eating it up out there. Num, 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 num. You have Sutton, who's actually their number 1 target. So why do you need Evan Ingram? And why would Sean Payton spend so much time talking about him in the offseason as if he's going to be their joker, quote unquote? He's not. He's not that good, and he's not even putting up the production, and I don't see any world where he does. Okay, let me put it like this. He could get like 3 touchdowns before the end of the year. Like they'll find a cool, creative way to like sauce something up, like some kind of like Philly special, but it's Denver, so it's using cannabis. I don't know, whatever. It's Evan Ingram. I'm not bought in. I'm not bought into anything. His talent, his utilization, nothing. I don't like Sean Payton. I don't like Bo Nix. And I'll say that, and now they'll be like the number 1 team in the league, like what happened to the Colts. And so congrats, Daniel Jones. Congrats, Bo Nix. All right, second to last here, number 31 is Tyler Higbee. Schmeiler Schmigby, as I'm calling him these days, of the Los Angeles Rams. And this is across 4 games, even though technically these numbers are from 5 games. He's only played 4. So he had 11 targets, 6 receptions, 62 yards, 10.3 yards per route run, no touchdowns. They don't need him. They have Puka Nacua. They have Williams. They have, I guess, Tutu Atwell, who they stretched the field with a bunch of times. Blake Corum, dude, you got to stop dropping the ball, bro. I mean, you can maybe see Higbee's utilization go up if Blake Corum doesn't get his act together. And then Williams fumbled too. So I don't know if you're like, who's a big body guy who has sure hands that we can just throw the ball to and nothing bad will happen. That's the situation or circumstance under which I could see Higbee getting a little more productivity. But right now they don't need him. They got enough going on. Stafford looks great. Stafford looks really great. I love the Mina Kimes Blue Sky post about like, what do they do in these cryo chambers? He's back from the dead. But yeah, I'm with her on that. I can't believe how good Stafford looks. I thought it was over. I had Stetson Bennett starting in my quarterback wide receiver. I mean, that's a huge L. I took a huge L on the Colts. I took a huge L on the Rams so far. Stetson does have that dog in him though. It would be sick if I was right about that. If I got to see a little more Stetson, I'd watch more Rams games if Stetson Bennett was in there. But yeah, Tyler Higbee, nothing to write home about from the tight end position. And then last but not least, the Los Angeles Chargers, they don't need tight ends. They have like 19 viable wide receiver options. They have Omarion Hampton. They don't have Najee Harris anymore. So sad. Drafted that dude in so many places. I just thought, the eye thing, it's getting overblown. It won't be a big deal. And then he goes down with a completely unrelated injury. And, rip. And I really love watching Najee play, so I hope he comes back. I genuinely think he had juice in the tank. I really do. But this guy, I didn't even know what he looked like, so I had to put this picture up because I genuinely never seen him before, and he supposedly has 7 receptions, but I don't think I saw a single one of them. 10 targets, 7 receptions. His name is Orande Gadsden II. 62 yards, 8.9 yards per route run. So Conklin I just wanted to note that he has the 6th highest snap count for tight end, so Conklin obviously is being used for blocking. He's got 5 targets, 3 receptions, 53 yards. But he's got a 17.7 yards per route run, no touchdown. So Conklin, I don't know. It's like he's being used for blocking, but he's also stretching the field on the 3 receptions that he has. That number probably come down. If you only have 3 receptions, it's easy to have an average that high. But yeah, the Chargers just aren't really using the tight end position the way that any other team needs to, because they have I think Keenan Allen is old. He looks great, but Every year he gets something, some kind of injured. I'm trying to ship him out right now because I'm like, it's only a matter of time. At his age, with his injury history, like, I don't know, it's only a matter of time now. Q is the big story, right? Never in my life would I have put Q as like the number one wide receiver option for the Chargers. I just can't believe it. He looks awesome. I hope he keeps it up. I just can't even believe it. It's hard to wrap my head around it. But Oronde Gadsden, you made the list at number 32. Would be crazy to see him put up some more numbers. And this is it. This is the tight end episode. This is the Football Head Show. It's football for your head. Don't forget, you can email footballheadshow@gmail.com if you have thoughts, questions, and any comments. I believe our next episode is going to be about defense, looking at defenses, although I've been putting together some stuff about coaching as well. Really thinking a lot about how coaches are doing what they're doing out there, and I can't wait to talk to you more about it. Thank you so much for being here. Good luck this week. Take care.